Have you ever wondered how a company as famous as Starbucks could start losing its way? Why would a business close stores, cut jobs, and spend billions of dollars at the same time? In September 2025, Starbucks announced a major restructuring plan. The company said it would close hundreds of underperforming cafes across North America, cut about 900 non-retail jobs, and take a restructuring charge of around $1 billion. But the real story is not the layoffs. It is Starbucks' effort to rebuild its stores and improve the customer experience. Welcome to Collapse Files. If you enjoy stories about business successes and failures, don't forget to like, subscribe, and join us for the story. The idea that built Starbucks. To understand why Starbucks is trying to change today, we first need to understand how it became successful. In 1983, Howard Schultz was working for a small coffee company in Seattle. During a business trip to Milan, Italy, he noticed something special about the local espresso bars. People were not rushing in and out. They stood at the counter, talked with the barista, met friends, and spent time together. These coffee shops felt like a comfortable place between home and work. This idea stayed with Schultz. He later called it the third place. His goal was to make Starbucks more than just a coffee shop. He wanted it to be a place where people could relax, connect with others, and enjoy the experience. Customers were not only buying coffee, they were buying a feeling of comfort and community. By the time Schultz stepped down as CEO in 2000, Starbucks had grown across the United States and expanded internationally. The company entered China in 1999, which later became its second largest market. Over the years, Starbucks continued growing, eventually operating more than 40,000 stores worldwide. Growth changed the business. As Starbucks grew bigger, its way of working also became more complex. One major change was the rise of mobile ordering. In 2014, Starbucks launched Mobile Order and Pay. This allowed customers to order drinks from an app and pick them up without standing in line. It quickly became very popular. By the early 2020s, about one-third of all U.S. orders were coming through mobile apps. While this made things faster for customers, it also changed life inside the stores. Baristas had to manage more digital orders along with in-store customers. This often created long and busy queues, and stores sometimes felt crowded and noisy. At the same time, some store features changed. Seating areas were reduced in many locations, condiment bars became smaller or removed, and ceramic mugs were used less often. Slowly, the stores started to feel less like a third place and more like a quick service stop. Signs of trouble. By fiscal year 2024, it became clear that Starbucks was facing real problems. In the fourth quarter, global comparable sales dropped by 7%. In the United States, customer traffic fell by 10%, showing fewer people were visiting stores. China also struggled with sales down 14%. International markets had been declining for 6 straight quarters, while North America saw 7 straight quarters of falling performance. For a company that had grown steadily for so many years, these numbers were a clear warning sign that something was not working. Howard Schultz, who had already left the board, also spoke out. In an open letter in May 2024, he called it a fall from grace. He said the problem was not just data or systems, but weak store operations and a declining customer experience. Challenges in China. China was once one of Starbucks' biggest success stories. By the mid-2010s, it had become the company's second largest market after the United States. But over time, competition became much stronger. A local coffee chain called Luckin Coffee, which had recovered from an accounting scandal, grew very fast. It offered cheaper drinks and expanded quickly, even passing Starbucks in store count in China. This created strong pressure on Starbucks from both price and customer choice. In November 2025, Starbucks made a major decision. It sold a 60% controlling stake in its China retail business to Boyu Capital, a private equity firm. The deal valued the China business at around $13 billion. Starbucks kept a 40% share and continued to license its brand through a joint venture. This move brought in a strong local partner and allowed Starbucks to focus more on fixing its business in North America. A new chief executive. By mid-2024, Starbucks decided it needed a leadership change. Laxman Narasimhan, who had been CEO for about 17 months, was replaced after a period of weak performance and pressure from investors. The board appointed Brian Niccol, who was leading Chipotle at the time. At Chipotle, Niccol had built a strong record. Over 6 years, the company's profits grew and its share price rose sharply. He became known for improving restaurant operations, especially in areas like speed, consistency, employee training, and simple menu systems. These were the same areas where Starbucks was struggling. According to filings with the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission, Niccol's compensation package was very large. It included a base salary, bonuses, a signing bonus, and stock awards to replace what he gave up at Chipotle. The first-year package was valued at about $113 million. He was also allowed to stay based in Newport Beach, California, with company-supported travel. Investors reacted strongly. When the news was announced in August 2024, Starbucks shares jumped about 20% in a single day, marking one of its biggest gains since its IPO in 1992. The Back to Starbucks strategy. After taking over, Brian Niccol visited many Starbucks stores to see how things worked in real life. He watched how customers ordered, how baristas handled pressure, and how the overall experience felt. His main conclusion was simple: Starbucks needed to go back to its basics. This idea became the Back to Starbucks plan. The goal was clear: if the store experience gets better, the business results will improve over time. The company started bringing back small but important features. Condiment bars returned in many locations. Ceramic mugs were used again in some stores. Baristas also began writing names and messages on cups, making the experience feel more personal. At the same time, Starbucks simplified its menu. Over the years, too many drink options had made things slower and more complicated. A simpler menu helps baristas work faster, reduces mistakes, and makes training easier across thousands of stores. Investing in labor. One of the biggest changes at Starbucks was increasing staff in stores. The company committed more than $500 million to store labor in the first year of the turnaround, calling it its largest operating investment ever. This was a major shift after years of cutting hours to improve efficiency. The new idea is simple. Good service needs enough people. A clean and welcoming cafe, friendly baristas, and fast, well-made drinks all depend on having enough staff on the floor. Starbucks also set a goal of serving most drinks within 4 minutes. But when Brian Niccol joined, this target was only being met about half the time. Improving speed and reducing wait times quickly became one of the main priorities. Redesigning the stores, Starbucks also started remodeling many of its stores to make them feel calmer and more comfortable. More than 1,000 locations were planned for redesign, focusing on better seating, lighting, and overall atmosphere. Earlier store layouts were built for speed and high customer flow, helping serve many people quickly. But the new design focuses more on comfort and encouraging customers to stay longer. Even mobile ordering was improved. Stores now have better control over app orders, so baristas at the counter are not overwhelmed by large digital queues at busy times. The $1 billion restructuring. These changes also came with a big cost. In September 2025, Starbucks announced a restructuring plan worth about $1 billion. The plan included closing underperforming stores and cutting around 900 non-retail jobs. About $850 million of the cost was linked to store changes, while around $150 million was for severance payments. But this was not just about saving money. The company also wanted to focus on stronger stores that could better deliver the third-place experience of comfort and connection. In simple terms, Starbucks was cutting weaker locations so it could invest more in better ones. At the same time, the company reduced layers of management above stores. This helped make the organization simpler, faster, and more focused on day-to-day operations. Early results. By the fourth quarter of fiscal 2025, Starbucks started to see small signs of improvement. Global comparable sales rose by 1%, ending 7 straight quarters of decline. China grew by 2%, while North America was mostly flat after many quarters of falling results. Store operations also improved. Drinks were being made and served faster, and customers were spending more time inside cafes. On social media, people also began noticing the return of ceramic mugs and other familiar Starbucks experiences. These are still early results. One good quarter does not mean full recovery. But the main signs like traffic, speed, and service consistency are starting to move in the right direction. Why earnings fell? Even with early improvements, Starbucks has not yet seen stronger profits. Full-year earnings per share dropped to $1.63, which is about 51% lower than the previous year. The fourth quarter was especially weak because of restructuring costs and higher spending in stores. This is normal in a turnaround like this. When a company spends more on workers, store upgrades, and changes in structure, short-term profits often fall. The idea is that these costs will help bring more customers, better loyalty, and stronger results in the future. The bigger question: Starbucks is still one of the most well-known coffee brands in the world. It continues to generate strong operating cash flow, and its partnership in China gives it local support in a very competitive market. The big question now is whether the company can continue its turnaround long enough for these changes to bring real financial results. The founder who built Starbucks has said the main issue is the stores themselves. The current leadership agrees with that view and is investing heavily to improve them and fix the customer experience. So, can Starbucks bring back the magic that made it famous? Can a company built on human connections succeed again after years of focusing on speed and technology? For decades, Starbucks was more than a coffee shop. It was a place where people could relax, meet friends, and feel welcome. Now, the company is trying to bring that feeling back by investing in its stores, employees, and customer experience. The early signs are promising, but the journey is far from over. What do you think? Will Starbucks succeed? Let us know in the comments. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and follow Meltdown Diaries for more business stories.